It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout, and this time we will be talking with Newton's Mayor, Randy Ervin, and I recorded a great conversation with him yesterday at the Newton Maid-Rite about the new chemical plant that will be built in Newton. It's become a bit controversial, and Randy answers a lot of questions that people have about the chemical plant, and I didn't go easy on Randy. I threw all the hard questions that people are asking about the chemical plant to him in this 25-minute podcast. So if you want to know about the chemical plant, listen up, because Randy tries to field all the questions that people have been wondering. It's going to be built out by the rail park next to TPI, and in July they'll have a groundbreaking and ribbon cutting for it. So check it out. It's coming up next on Out and About with Jamie Grout. But first, a word from our sponsors, including Ryan's Tire and Auto and my buddy Ryan, who, when I started the podcast, called me up and wanted to advertise on my podcast, has now signed up for a year of sponsorship on my podcast, and I can't thank him enough for that. And not only do they have great service at Ryan's Tire and Auto, because, I can give testimony to that, because he's serviced my two vehicles, my van and my Hyundai Elantra, as I've traversed from point A to point B to Des Moines and back to work at the radio station there. But also he gives to the community. He's giving to all kinds of great causes. And Pam DeBruin, of course, heads up a fundraising for the St. Florian Burn Foundation. And I've known about Pam because, of course, she works for the newspaper now, but at one time also worked for the radio station. And he posted on Facebook that Pam asked us to help her with a golf tournament to raise money for the St. Florian Burn Foundation. And he said, how could we not? We donated $500 to the cause, and none of this great work and donations are possible without the support of my staff and my customers. So thank you, Newton and Jasper County. And there's a picture of Ryan donating a check to Pam DeBruin. And also, he says he's so proud of these girls. We already knew they were champions, but now they have extra hardware, state champion girls, and he's supporting them also in front of Ryan's Tire and Auto, helping out so many fantastic nonprofits and charities around the area, and great service too at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. Another big sponsor that also signed up for another year, Mark Thayer and the gang at Newton Clinic. My personal physician is Dr. Joe Levette. He keeps me in tip-top shape. And if you don't have a physician at Newton Clinic, you should choose one. One of their newest providers you might want to check out that I believe is still taking new patients is Kinsey Heiser. And from toddlers to teenagers, children grow in the blink of an eye. Routine well child exams are about to be much more than just vaccines. They are a chance to track growth, discuss behavioral milestones, and ensure your child is thriving. Keep your child's health on track. Schedule their Well Child Physical at their Facebook page today. You can link to that, again, at the Newton Clinic Facebook page, or by texting them or calling them at 641-792-2112. Again, you can text them or call them at 641-792-2112. Schedule that Well Child Physical with Newton Clinic. Also, another fine sponsor is Wesley Life Park Center, and they want you to mark your calendar because next month's Senior Living Education Series is a must-attend event for everyone. They'll be discussing important information about common scams and how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. Protect Yourself from Scams and Financial Frauds program is coming up Thursday, July 2nd. And that'll be at 10 a.m. at the DMAC Conference Center. I went to one of those scam conferences, and boy, was it enlightening. It was put on by the Attorney General's office in Des Moines, and boy, the scam people, they're getting smarter and smarter and craftier all the time. You got to watch out for them. So make sure you attend this. Again, this will be at DMAC. Mark your calendar on Thursday, July 2nd at 10 a.m. Don't miss this valuable opportunity to stay informed and stay safe. It's a Senior Living Education Series, Educate, Equip, and Empower. And this is sponsored by Wesley Life Park Center, a Wesley Life community. Another fine sponsor, Advantage Credit Union.
Let us pay you for checking with us. Hi, Hi, this is Leslie with Advantage Credit Union, inviting you to take advantage of Cha-Ching Rewards Checking. Earn 3% APY on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $25 per month that ACU pays you. No minimum balance, no monthly fees. Simply do the things you're already doing and cash in at the credit union. Apply online at acuiowa.org or visit us in downtown Newton.
APY is annual percentage yield. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by the NCUA.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time around we're talking with Newton's Mayor Randy Ervin. And in interest of clarity, I want you to know that Randy and I are friends. We go back to high school. I just call him Irv, and we were in high school theater together. But I always preface this by saying I'm not going to go easy on Randy with the questions, and we're going to talk about the new chemical plant in Newton, otherwise known as AU. It was just announced here, last week about the chemical plant, and it's kind of been a bit of a controversial topic. There are people that are for it, some people who have asked a lot of questions about it. There are some people who are against it, maybe not know the facts about the whole thing, Randy. And so I'm just going to start in with the questions that people have about it and see if this answers the questions. And I know, first of all, that you're open to answering any questions. And before we get started, how can people contact you about this?
You can always reach out to me. My phone number and my email address is both on the city website. It's just randye@newtongov.org. But I'd be willing to talk and sit down with anybody. You're bringing up a good discussion point with AU. And, of course, some people, as soon as they heard chemicals, their thoughts went sideways and, oh, my goodness, this is terrible. I'm going to probably explain that to you here in a little bit, and I can invite anybody that would like to come to the next City Council meeting, July 6th. We actually have a video we're going to show and talk about it, and I can answer any questions at that meeting as well.
Okay. First question, why did Newton pursue this particular company, and what made AU Solutions choose Newton?
So you got it. This is the exciting part of the story, Jamie, and I get a little passionate on this one because it is pretty cool. When we started working on the rail park, before the rail park actually came to existence, we had site selectors from across the country that heard about this rail park. So as we were and I say we, it was a really, truly combined effort. Our county supervisors did a phenomenal job. Alliant Energy, Interstate Iowa Railroad, Jedco, and Frank Liebel with NDC was working on this the whole time to build the rail park.
Well, fantastic. And how significant are the 22 new jobs for Newton's economy?
Well, it's pretty significant. And what people don't understand is the 22 is just the first 22. When they first started looking at Newton and specifically the rail park, they were looking for maybe 8 to 12 acres, and now they're up to almost 70 acres. There's some future growth opportunities as well. So this is just the beginning of a project that's a long time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about AU that makes me excited. When they first started, the site selection committee chose about 25 sites in the United States. Then the site selection company came and looked at the site. Then they came back and looked at the site, whittled down to about 5 cities. In December, some of their executive board of AU came to visit the city. Then after that, in January, it was us and one other town. They came again. This time they brought the president, founder, CEO, wanted to see the community. I can tell you the site selection committee did not choose Newton. It was because of their visit, because of their conversations with the people, the leaders in this community, and I'm talking about DMAC and NDC and Jedco and the city council and the supervisors. The ownership and the leadership of that company went back and said, we realize Newton's not our first choice, but it's our first choice. We want to be a part of their community. After 2.5 hours of going through, will this work? Do we have the electricity? Do we have the water? Do we have DMAC school? Do we have this and that for the bill? The president and the CEO of the company leaned back in his chair and said, okay, we can make all that work. Randy and Brandon, tell me about the community. And so Brandon Talsma and myself sat there for about 30 minutes and said, okay, this is what we got going on. Everything from alumni, to what we do with Newton Fest, to what we do with the Speedway, and throughout the county. So it was them actually picking Newton over several other sites.
All right, Randy, what is the average wage expected for this company and for the positions that are open for it?
The original wage that we're looking at is $29 to $30, and that'll be kind of a good starting point. Some of the other projects that they're looking to bring to town will probably pay more to that.
Okay. And will Newton residents receive hiring preferences or job training opportunities?
Actually, in today's world with all the rules and stuff, you can no longer say, okay, people in this area gets the job opportunities. That has to be all done through the EEOC and through all the regulations. But I can tell you that it's bigger than the 22 jobs. People don't understand that when we build this place, and it's about a $19 million facility, you're going to have construction companies here for a couple years. They've got to have hotels to live in. They've got to eat meals. They've got to buy groceries. They've got to buy gas. We're going to see the impact of this quicker than at the end of about a year and a half when they get the building actually up and operational.
Okay, and what are the long-term economic benefits for the city? What does the city expect to get from this project?
We really expect this to be a long-term partnership and for them to grow in our community. With them wanting to become part of the community, it's a very exciting time. But I think we don't need to sell ourselves short here. While we're talking about AU, in the back pocket, I'm telling you, there's already other companies that's seeing AU's decision and saying, hey, Newton, hey, Jasper County, we want to be a part of this rail park. We've got a groundbreaking July 9th out at the rail park. We're also going to ribbon cut for AU that day. I highly suggest that people in the community go out and meet these guys. Like I said, July 6th, City Council, I'm going to show a video that's a pretty amazing thing. If we have time on the podcast, I would give you a quick scenario of what they do. But it's a lot better. People think negatively about chemical factories. That is not the case with this. So I'll give you a quick test. You can use it if you can.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us.
So the way it was explained to me by farmers and by agricultural people, if you took a regular donut, and since we're at Made Right doing this podcast, yes, I can talk about Made Right donuts because they're wonderful.
Yes, thanks for plugging Made Right. They are one of the sponsors of the podcast.
Absolutely, and there's nothing like a Made Right donut. So if you take a donut and you put it in a pile of sprinkles and you pull it up and look at it, it's going to have some sprinkles on it. Now you take that same donut and you dip it in a glaze and then dip it in the sprinkles and look at it, and you're going to have way more sprinkles on that glazed donut. This company is the glaze. They don't do the seeds. They don't do the chemicals that a lot of people don't have a good image of. What they do is they actually put something in place that adhere the chemicals to the seed. And so it's not toxic. It's not a cancerous position. It's really necessary for the farm economy. It's new. It's upcoming. And like I said, join us on July 6th. I'd love to show you the video.
Okay, good deal. Well, this is one of the things that I hear people complain about the most, Randy, and you're probably prepared to respond to this. But the project received nearly $500,000 in state incentives. What return does Newton expect on that investment?
Again, I think you have to look at the large picture. First of all, I think it's very important to know that the city or the county did not give this money. This is a state fund. It's from the Iowa Economic Development Association, that's their role, is to go out and create new jobs, new factories, new people from out of state and bring them to the state of Iowa. They're the ones that authorized the $495,000 last week. So what does Newton gain out of that? Some people go, well, it's only 22 jobs. All right, think about this from a different angle. What if those 22 people, 18 of them buy new houses? Let's say out of those 22 people, they bring 10 new families to town. Those 10 families might have 2 kids each, so now you have 20 new kids for our school district. So now, as you go, you're going to need more hotels. You're going to need more restaurants. Not just, again, for the 22, but for the other projects that we know is coming, as well as all the construction projects. Those people, again, have to live somewhere, eat somewhere, and support the town.
So the city isn't providing any other tax incentives?
At this point, we are not included in any tax incentives.
Okay.
Now, we're going to have to take a look. We have to provide them infrastructure. I mean, they're going to be a part of our water, part of our sewer.
Right.
And one of the things that they made known right away was that they would only come to Newton if we could annex them into the city.
Oh, okay.
They want to be part of the city of Newton, and I think that's a very important thing down the road.
So they'll have to pay the property taxes and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. What protections are in place if the company does not meet its job creation commitments, Randy?
You know, that's a state guidelines. Obviously, they have to be up running and produce the people before they get their state funds. So that's going to be a project that we'll see come to fruition, and then they'll receive their funds. So.
Okay. Well, my next question was about the chemicals that are being, and you kind of answered that question already, so we'll skip over that. But are there environmental permits that the company needs to obtain before operating the facility? Do you know anything about that?
There's a lot of product that goes into this, and the reason that we are selected is because of our rail access, which is the rail park. They have a lot of customers in Iowa, obviously with the agricultural field, and so it was very important for them to have a secondary plant. A good example of that with their plant in Tulsa, for some reason, let's say a natural disaster happens and their factory goes down, now they have no way to produce that chemical. So what Newton started out being was just a redundant that we would be able to produce the product as well as they are. So before we ever open the door, you have to understand there's a 5-member panel that's overseeing things at the rail park. Newton's represented, the county's represented, Interstate Railroad, Alliant are all a part of this group. We've determined that we only want certain product in that rail park. We don't want a rendering plant. We don't want a hog killing facility. Not that those are bad things, but those are things that we don't think our citizens would accept. So we're very, very picky on what's going to go in that rail park because we're going to have a huge demand of people wanting to be a part of it, and we don't want it to be a negative thing for our city.
So how will the city, Randy, monitor emissions, wastewater, and chemical storage?
That all has to be done up front. We've already had Jody Rowan, our water person, involved. We've already had our sewer people involved to make sure that everything's handled. And there's multiple ways things like that can be handled. Some waste will be 99.9% water soluble, so it'll go right into the sewer just like waste from any other factory in town. Some of their waste may end up being trucked to a specific facility outside of Newton to handle that waste appropriately.
Will environmental monitoring reports be available to the public?
Absolutely.
Okay. What emergency response plans exist in the event of a chemical spill, a fire, or accident, Randy?
First of all, none of this chemical is hazardous.
Okay.
None of this chemical will cause any issues. In fact, we've had different companies in the past that's worked here that has produced hazardous stuff. These are not hazardous. So our fire department as well has been involved in this project since the beginning. You have to realize we've been working on this project for well over a year. Nothing comes quick, and everybody has to be vetted through a process. Is it safe for the environment? Is it safe for the community? Is it safe for the state of Iowa? All of that had to be proved before the state of Iowa actually gave their grants as well.
So how much water will the facility use, and can Newton's water system support the demand?
I can't give you the exact numbers. I've seen them, but I don't remember them. But absolutely, that was one of the first questions we had when we sat down and started looking at this. When we were first one of 25 cities looking for them to come, that was one of the first steps, is to sit down with our water folks and say, okay, can we produce the water? What kind of bind will that put us in? And we were assured by our water group we could provide it. As we go forward and as more people go into the rail park, between the city of Newton and IRUA, which also provides water to that area, we've looked at all the studies to make sure that we can prepare ourselves to provide the water, good clean water, for not just this project, but the projects to come.
And will the plan affect future water rates for the residents?
It should not. Right now, I mean, if you take a look at our water compared to our water rates in any community around us, we are still considerably less in our water. We are going to have to raise some water rates, but that's just due to normal business. You can't buy anything at the grocery store today what you could buy 4 or 5 years ago. So that's just a natural progression for water rates to go up. But at this point, I don't see it costing us more money.
Okay. And what upgrades to roads, utilities, to infrastructure may be needed because of this project, Randy?
Actually, the only thing that we're looking at, and this again was part of the discussion with the county when we started working on this project, is how do we make sure the roads are safe, not just for the new businesses, but for the people. To give credit where credit's due, several years ago, like back when you and I were little kids, somebody instituted the Beltline Road. And that road was designed specifically to bypass downtown and go from the interstate to Maytag, and also from Maytag to Highway 14 back to the interstate on that side of town. So thanks to their forward thinking, we already have that in place. Now, is there going to be over time some wear and tear on the roads? Absolutely. We've already worked side by side with the county. We've got some ideas in place to some state funds that will also help us rebuild that road and those avenues. And the county's got some ideas on some other roads that they may want to upgrade and get ready as well. So that's part of the long-range plan of the Newton Rail Park. We know it's going to increase truck traffic on that side of town, and we're prepared between the city and the county to address it.
Okay. So who's going to pay for the infrastructure anyway?
Well, like I said, right now, nobody.
Okay.
We have road use tax, obviously, that we're going to be doing, and we don't see that as a burden on our city at all.
Okay. So I know you've heard from a lot of residents, Randy, probably good points and bad points. So what concerns have residents expressed so far, and how is the city addressing them?
You know, really a lot of it is the same conversation that you and I just had. What kind of product is it? Is it hazardous? What kind of jobs is it going to produce? Is it good jobs? Is it well paying? Is the 22 jobs it, or is there more to come? And I can firmly tell you there's more to come. The 22 is just what they put on the records for the first plant, the first step. And that's most of the concerns. The majority of the comments I'm hearing is people are excited that we're going to get a new corporation to town. We're going to get a new corporate partner that's proud of this community. And I got to tell you, it's not myself and Brandon Talsman that sold this place. It was us being able to tell people what kind of community we have. Everything from the churches to the schools to the Christian school to the different amenities we have, like a municipal band, concerts at the park on Thursday nights. We have a beautiful library, all great assets of the city that really brought them to town. And so I tell all the citizens, this isn't just a win for the county, it's not just a win for the city, but it's really a win for the citizens of this town and county.
So what opportunities will the citizens of Newton have to ask questions and review project information, Randy?
Again, July 6th, we're going to have a city council meeting. Anybody is always given 3 minutes to ask questions. Your answers may not be immediately handed to you, but anything that we do have, we will follow up with and get back to the people. But we will be showing a video. We will be discussing a letter of support from the city council to support the IEDA's grant process. So we will be discussing that July 6th, and I invite anybody to email or call me that has questions.
Okay, and I know you're a busy man. You have another meeting to get to here in just a moment, but just as we get ready to wrap up, a couple more questions. What would you consider a successful outcome 5 years after the plant opens, Randy?
I think if the entire rail park is sold out by then, and I think that's a reality. I just came from a meeting this morning that talked about another opportunity like this that's going to use water, it's going to use sewer, but it's also going to provide jobs and provide an opportunity for local businesses. So I'm excited about that one. We have a third one that we've talked about that has shown interest. I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see projects in the city of Newton on all four corners. And I say that very...
all four corners?
All four corners.
Okay.
I'm very optimistic that you're going to see the rail park. You're going to see TPI. TPI, by the way, is looking at wanting to be at 1,000 employees by Christmas.
Okay.
I think you're going to see some growth on the southeast side of town. I think you're going to see some growth on the southwest side of town. I can tell you right now that Newton Housing Development Corp, in NDC, myself, we are weekly reaching out to developers and saying, okay, we have some sites in Newton that we need housing. So I think you're going to see a couple new housing developments. You're going to see maybe some condos, some townhome type things product that is going to allow people to live here. Does us no good to come up with 100 jobs if we don't have places for 100 people to live. So that's my next focus, is getting housing growing.
Right.
Does us no good for somebody to come here and go to work and then live in Marshalltown or Des Moines.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and Arbor Estates continues to grow.
Absolutely. It's beautiful out there. If you haven't driven out by Cardinal Pond, take a Sunday after church drive and go out and take a look at some of the new houses in Cardinal Pond. It's beautiful.
And you still have the $10,000 tax rebate.
Yes, we do.
You bet.
Which is modeled now in well over 30 different states, has reached out to us and said, hey, what are you doing?
One final question before I let you go and get on to your next meeting. When we last spoke, you said more good news was coming, and the date you gave for that was in early July. Now, was this the good news you were talking about at that time, or is there more good news coming, Randy?
I think
Look at you.
I think
you can't see the look on his face. He's got a twinkle in his eye, folks, and you never know when a politician is doing that, what that means. So go ahead.
I think July 9th is a great day for Newton, Iowa. You're going to see the
Are
record.
you talking about the plant?
We're talking about the rail park, which is going to have its state certification delivered by train on July 9th. At the same time, UA ribbon cutting. So that's two amazing events for this town on July 9th. And all I've got to say is there's more to come.
Okay. Well, that is great. I told you one last question, and I know you're not going to be able to answer this, but I'm just going to throw it out at you anyway. Can you say who's moving into the old Perkins restaurant?
I could not, but I do know that it's a local person. I think the details are still working out, so it's not a done deal, but it's a really good deal.
Okay. But you can't say ETA on when that's going to be moved into?
I hope it's by football season. That's the best I can do.
So do I. And I love the Maid Right, and I come here for breakfast, but I think Newton needs another breakfast place. So.
In fact, I have to be careful how I say this, but we just had a gentleman approach us within the last 48 hours to at least discuss opportunities for another hotel and another restaurant.
Wow, great.
So those are all, like I said, we're all drawing things on a napkin, just like the inclusive park that you and I keep talking about.
Yes.
20 years from now, someone's going to say, what in the world did Randy Ervin do as a mayor? I want to be able to say he was very small part of the rail park. My hat's off to Frank Liebel, Jeff Davidson, NDC county supervisors. There was a lot of people involved in that. I can't let Melissa Dalton get off the hook. She worked around the clock last summer getting some of this stuff put together. So 20 years from now, I want them to say, okay, the Newton Rail Park, an all-inclusive playground where people can play side by side with their brothers and sisters that have handicap problems. I want to see that.
You bet.
And I want people to say, hey, that was when Randy was the mayor.
You bet. Well, same thing for me. 20 years from now, I want people to say, what did Jamie Grout try to do to replace the radio station? I can't be a radio station. I can't. There's no way. And you and I have both been in radio, but I can do my best with my podcast. And so that's why I try to address the issues going on and any nonprofits that are involved. And just want you to know, and publicly, I want people to know that I've talked to both Matt Muckler and Craig Armstrong. And I know that Craig had Proud to Know Newton on the radio station, and I've offered that up to both of them on my podcast. So I'm going to put a bug in your ear and let you know. I would gladly provide a half hour of my time on the podcast to do that. So if they want to do that, why, I'm open to it. So
I will ask that question.
You betcha.
Jamie, I think it's very important, too, that we let people know. Jamie and I are old friends. We worked in the radio business together. We did high school play productions together. When we sit down to do these podcasts, we don't preview anything.
No.
He looks at me just like he would anybody else and say, Randy, I'm throwing the hard questions at you. And I applaud him for doing so, because in today's world, we need more people like Jamie Grout that just gets straight facts out to the people. And Jamie, that's what your podcast does, and I appreciate that.
Well, and there have been a lot of concerns about the podcast. In fact, they get brought up at like Rotary Club meetings and different places all over town, and I know that you've received both positive and negative comments on it. And let's wrap up again. If people want to talk to you and have any concerns, I know your door is always open, Randy.
Absolutely. I love talking to people. In fact, some of our greatest contributions right now has come from public input. I've had people call me and say, hey, what about this? And we've been able to put that together. So I always love to hear from the people. Am I going to give you the answer you want to hear every time? Probably not. But I won't lie to you. I'll tell you exactly what I think.
Okay. Randy Ervin, Newton's mayor, on Out and About with Jamie Grout. Other fine sponsors of this podcast include Westside Java Coffee Bar, the Made Right Sandwich Shop serving breakfast 7 days a week, Halo Branded Solutions, along with Jersey Freeze in Monroe. Until next time, Grout is out. See ya!